Welcome back, my viewers, to Building Mindset. And in one of our past videos, we talked about resilience. And we emphasize on resilience in the business world and more so on at a personal level. Today, we want to narrow down and ask ourselves this question: what does it take to thrive and innovate in a messy world? In a world full of disruption, uncertainty, is it possible to keep standing? Now, a beacon of resilience is really required because it offers those essential strategies for navigating the pressures of building and leading organizations into the future. Now, providing a roadmap for cultivating the mindset, a heart set, and also the skills, because the skills are necessary for ensuring that there is going to be success. Now, this one will help leaders to come up and to come into to grip it with real stress and the pressure associated with the daily work. Every day, as you and I wake up to go to work, there are deadlines to meet, definitely. There are targets, and therefore there are outputs that are required of you. Now, how do we then cultivate a resilient workplace culture that embraces change and innovation, and to ensure that the members of your team do not just survive, but they enjoy and they wait for the next day with a lot of positive thought? Then we need to master that tough conversation and agree to ourselves that all is not well. We need to effectively learn to communicate with each other. And then we'll be able to communicate to the large team and all the key stakeholders to execute the work that is supposed to be executed, so that we do not just measure on the question of the deadline and the targets, but we also ask ourselves, are we innovative, or we are living in the past with our traditions? We need to empower ourselves and the team to have actionable strategies, because it is possible to have strategies, good one, written on paper, very powerful indeed, but the aspect of implementation could be an issue. Now, once we get to have actionable strategies, then we combine leadership wisdom and practical tools drawn from real world entrepreneurship. And then we'll be able to move the team further. So that one now will give what we call a roadmap for business and their leaders who are determined to create everyday resilience in the face of constant change. Now, whether you are seeking to enhance your leadership skills, or navigate the challenge of business, or even manage workplace burnout and fatigue and well-being, you need insights and strategies needed to thrive and innovate in those uncertain times, because those uncertain times are here with us. And therefore, you need to be empowered not just to survive, but to flourish in the competitive world of business and innovation. Now, when members of staff in an organization survive, in quotes, every day they see a new day, someone feels like, wow, another day is just here with me. How do I deal with the issues at heart? And when mental health issues affect the members of team, decision making and critical thinking becomes a challenge. Now, being real with yourself is key because it creates the necessary condition for responsible leadership, acknowledging that there could be mistakes and fixing them as soon as possible. Now, the danger that we always experience is we do procrastinate. When we postpone a mistake that has already been made without fixing it, it creates another one, and on, we do not bring a solution. Now, organization change starts with this place because without buying in and getting to understand that something wrong has been done, because we've been doing this thing the same way for a long time. And someone said that anyone, if you keep doing the same thing all the time, expecting different results, then it is only a fool who will do that. When we expect some meaningful change to occupy our personal lives and even the organizations we're serving, then we need to be more real, not just being right. It is possible to be right, but not real. Because when we are just right instead of being real, we lose the ability to adapt. We become rigid. We are not flexible. And when leaders become like that, they can no longer hear. They can no longer hear. They can no longer see or even speak from reality. And you have heard they said, kwa ground, vitu ni different. Now, in the workplace, we have become many times when we leaders, we become bystanders instead of enablers. The members of our team are waiting to be enabled. Most of them, they come with stresses and they are stretched to the limit, but they want to be enabled. They want support. We become sometimes desensitized to the real and grave implication of this do whatever it takes culture, and the effects are going to be felt in the long term. Now, in a study that was conducted by a psychologist, Dr. Michael Freeman, in 2023, he discovered that entrepreneurs are 50% more likely to have mental health mental health conditions, and reported that 72% of them have experienced mental illness, 30% have depression, 27% have anxiety. They do not know what the future holds. Additionally, entrepreneurs are 10 times more likely to have bipolar disorders, 2 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts, and 3 times more likely to have a certain addiction. And that crisis on workplace mental health has only increased since then. Another study was conducted and it showed that hundreds of entrepreneurs are struggling with burnouts. Others struggling with anxiety, struggling with depression. And the top stressors of leaders and entrepreneurs in order of priority have been financial concern, day-to-day stressors, and work-life balances. Those three. So the problem in workplace mental health are tied many times with very specific stressors, many of which affect the sense of psychological or financial safety. And as these come to happen, leaders are working long hours in the workplace, and sometimes we over-glorify work. We don't rest. We don't take time with our families. We forget that we have friends. And therefore, sometimes we behave like this life is short term. and it's like a sprint and not a marathon. Look at this. Physical, mental, and emotional stability are critical to every person, and more so to leaders of future, and a necessary condition for innovating and any winning organization. There's no organization that is going to win with just a program of Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, without remembering that there are mental issues and emotional stability of these members of staff that is really required. Now, this is a fact. The fact is this, that it isn't possible, and even if it will be possible in the short term, it is not sustainable. As leaders, because we face a barrage of problems that could destabilize ourselves at a personal level. And if we are destabilized, we destabilize the organization. And therefore, we are navigating high stakes of decisions every day to make. Issues requiring critical thinking, skills, issues requiring analysis, synthesis, and more so to visualize. However, when we are stuck in that survival mode, our thoughts will be focused on fear. We will not have faith, but we'll be asking ourselves, what if this happened to me? We can still stand, friends. We can keep standing, even in a messy world, if we focus and we will be resilient. But again, we need to be balanced. Keep reasoning, even as we meet again to discuss how then do we restore this mental game. Thank you very much, and God bless you.